I did start school at the old Talmud Torah. It was on 103rd Street, just south of Jasper Avenue, in the business district of Edmonton. It was a 2-story brick building with the classrooms on the main floor and the office on the second floor, as well as a large room which was used as a multi-purpose room. I think as students, we used it as a gym as well. And in fact, that space was rented out to Jewish families, and it was where Beth Shalom first started before they had their own building. And in fact, it was there also where my parents, who had been married in the old synagogue, celebrated their 25th anniversary in the Talmud Torah, and the engagement of my sister Phyllis to Dr. Tom Harden. And that would have been in 1950. And I was 10 years old then. The schoolyard had the sidewalk in the middle with shale on either side. We were often fell on that shale and scraped our knees. And we had, we sort of were worried about the neighbors. There was actually a house on either side of the Talmud Torah, and if our balls or any of our equipment went over the fence, we thought the people were really mean because they kept the equipment. And those were wonderful years, and I remember well many of the students that I went to school with: Dr. Marvin Weisler, Dr. Marvin Levant, Rona Margolis, Cyril Shapiro, Doreen Pecos, Evelyn Preppas, Flory Rubin, now Axler. These were mainstays of the Jewish community and children of the mainstays. I also have a memory in the old Talmud Torah of it having a basement. And in the basement, there was a suite for Mike and Lisa and their daughter, who were the cooks. They prepared the food for us. And as well, there was a small office, which was pretty smoke-filled. And that's where the young Judeans hung out. And of course, my brother Tevi, Dr. Tevi Estrin, was one of those kids who hung out at the Young Judea office in the basement of that school. Going home from the school, and mothers didn't drive in those days, so we used the streetcars system and buses when they came along. And my friend and I would walk from the Talmud Torah on south of 103rd and Jasper to 104th Street, where there's a wonderful place called the Palace of Sweets. And we would walk down the rows looking for things that we would buy. And usually it was sea foam. And we would take that home with us until the next day. In addition to what I've told you about the Talmud Torah on 103rd Street, they also held junior congregation services at that school. And my dad was appointed from the board to look after the junior congregation. So junior congregation had a pretty strong place in my life. We would go in the morning, have the service, and then my brothers were responsible for me, so we would walk to a downtown bowling alley where my mother had given us lunch. We'd eat our lunch, I would watch the boys bowl, and then the procedure was to go to a matinee at either the Capitol Theater or the Rialto Theater. That was their duty, and it was freedom for my mom. My mom was sort of a woman ahead of her time, and she decided that my musical talent was pretty deficient. So she decided to give me elocution lessons, and those were at the Alberta College, which was then, and I think still is, located on 100th Avenue, not far from where the old Talmud Torah was. And those elocution lessons, I think, sort of defined my life because I came to do a lot of public speaking, and of course in my teaching I was always presenting to a class. I have to say that across from the Talmud Torah was the Masonic Temple, where all the music competitions were held, and I remember competing in speech arts, as they called it, and my poem was from Uncle Tom's Cabin, and it began, "Ooh, I so wicked." And of course I had to learn to roll my eyes to match my speech. And there were a couple of interesting incidents from that time that I still remember. But I'm going to move on. And as I say, I do think that those lessons really did affect my future.